Okay, good morning and welcome to Urban Agoge week 14, day 5. I'm off on my ramble through the woods at about lunchtime because I had some chores to do. It's Friday, which is my day off, and yeah. Oh yes, it's definitely a bit muddy, and this was not a sensible way to come up here. Altogether too much faith in the fact that it was dry-ish yesterday. So yeah, let's have a look. Yeah, it's no. Lens is looking good. And we're off. So yes, as always on my day off, I've got a huge long list of stuff to do. And I've been recording the everything I've managed to do that benefits me, or chores done, or just generally tidying up, or laundry and things like that. And it acts as quite a good illustrator to yourself. Ooh, slopey, slippery things. So you look back at your week and you think, well, I did do some fairly useful bits and pieces. And that's always good. So yes, I'm going to try down here. I don't normally go down here. So yeah, it's all good. So yeah, so I've managed to get quite a bit done today already. Bit of tidying, bit of washing up, bit of laundry, bit of shopping for groceries, trying to be sensible. And I think if you're doing a chunk of exercise, you don't have to be really hard on yourself, you just have to be vaguely sensible. So yeah, time for a wander in the woods. Let's bring that round again. It feels like I'm ignoring you. So yeah, that's about it. I just want to say thank you for everybody's feedback. It's really helpful. Keep sending the emails. Keep adding in things that you think would be a good idea. I'm hoping to try and do a time-lapse 3D print from my printer. I can get it set up today, because I've been printing pretty much constantly, and pretty much all of the Patreon money for this month is going to 3D printer filament, because I'm determined to get a handle on this printer. Now it might be that I end up getting a different printer, because if I really can't get the detail on this, because it is a deal harder to do things like print supports, although having dual extrusion is really handy, and I'm getting an idea of how this sort of thing works. So I'm slowly honing in on the CTC Bizer, which is a copy of the Flash Forge and the MakerBot Replicator. So I'm slowly getting that dialed in. But I'm really having a problem with support materials at the moment. But that said, I have only had the printer for a week, so bear that in mind. So 1 week in, I've got a handle on. I'm not going up there. It's full of bracken, and there's an epidemic of Lyme disease, which sounds like a very bad thing to get, and I can totally live without being bitten by a tick. So maybe one day when I'm wearing heavy boots and combat trousers, I shall have a look at it. So I'll probably go down here. So yeah, so the printer's good, solid shapes are good, without, as long as there's not too much detail. I'm going to try a... Oh, nah. No. Not in trainers. I'm going to try and do a reprint of a mug that I printed, so you can see side by side how the settings have improved. And once I've actually got it dialed in, if I do get it dialed in, I'll do a full, I don't know, 5-part 3D printing series if you wanted to buy the same printer, because it's pretty good. I like it. I like having the dual extruders. You can do some interesting stuff. Although I haven't done any, you know, insanely cool dual 3D prints. Maybe I should do a time lapse of one of those to illustrate it working. But the centering seems to be on, because obviously the print heads are side by side, and if you don't center the print heads, I mean, the right hand print head for some reason is the print head they expect you to use, because they didn't line up the print heads, but the left hand print head, as you're looking at it, is wow, there's a new stream here, and you can see that totally was not there last time I wandered through here. That's an idea. We'll take a wander back via the bridge maybe, and see what that's, well, maybe, but we've still got 2 more days this week. So yeah, so they're offset, you know, because they have a different center point, because they're, as it happens, about 33mm apart from nozzle to nozzle. So yeah, so that's I've adjusted that. I dropped the left hand print nozzle down so that it's level with the right hand one, which it wasn't. And that seems to be one of the litany of complaints people have about this particular printer, which is weird, because it literally, even I managed to do it and just loosen the main center screw. They even give you the Allen key to do it, and that's another project I could do with. So yeah, it's a few things. Hold on. Yeah, so there's a few things, but like the leveling of the print bed's a little bit tricky and takes you about 5 minutes. But you know, you got a fully assembled 3D printer for 140 quid. There's not really much to complain about there. Even if I can't get it fully dialed in and can't get it into a position where it's it won't print, you know, really fancy prints, and I end up having to buy a Creality Ender in order to get a bigger print volume and a what do you call it, the ability to use Cura, so you can put in supports and you can see where those supports are. That's not going to be a major issue. So we're high enough up now to get that bit. That's a really nice vista. But yeah, so even if I do end up having to get a much better printer for finer detail, that's not really going to tick me off, to be honest. I think if you can get, it's most of the things you need to learn about 3D printing are about how the printer works, how to get the bed level, you know, how to prepare an STL file so that it's the right G code for the printer. Maybe I can shortcut, you know, people that watch the 3D printing videos to saying, right, okay, this printer, you know, is not the best printer in the world. Or maybe it is. Perhaps it's, you know, it's a massive case of PEBKAC. Problem exists between keyboard and chair. PEBKAC. So it could well be me. But I'm going to press on. I'm going to give it at least another 3 or 4 weeks before I call judgment on the printer. But I have learned an awful lot. about infill and support materials and stuff like that. So it's totally worth it. And even if I can only print out flat, you know, prints that have been designed not to need support structures, and there are quite a lot of people out there that go, right, you know, there is this thing, I do not want it to have support structures because support structures are a hassle. I want to be able to create prints that you can just run off and you don't have to use a raft or anything like that. And there are quite a lot of models out there that are set up to not need support structures. So, you know, I'd be pretty happy if that's all that this did. Wow, there are some steep drops down here. I don't even know if you can pick it up on the camera, but that's like a sheer cliff down there with exciting trees to hit on the way down. So yeah, at the moment I'm printing off something that I would have bought, which is kind of cool. I need some angled brackets, some right angle brackets for my DJ desk, which I built from scratch out of scrap lumber. And it's quite a nice desk, but it is altogether too wobbly. It easily supports the bracken. It easily supports my two DJ decks and the mixer and the amplifier and the speakers and stuff. But whew. And this is where Zach died. So yeah, it's like England's green and pleasant land. Yeah, so this is why you come for a walk. That's why it's good. That's why there are a couple of people that have sent me emails to say, oh well, I've you know, all I've done is gone for a walk. It's like, go for a walk. It's some of the best exercise you'll ever do. You know, straightens out your spine, gets your heart going, especially if you've got like variances in ascents and descents and stuff like that. You get a chance to see local wildlife, you're outside, getting that good vitamin D, which, you know, if you top up on vitamin D during the summer, you vastly reduce your chances of seasonal affective disorder. And, you know, if you carry on going for a walk through the fall and the winter, you'll still get that vitamin D boost, which just makes you a happier sort of person. All those outdoorsy types, they're onto something. And us geeky types, I as a geek, I think I should get out more. I could easily sit home and just tinker with computers all day on my day off, but at least I don't have to do computers while I'm at work. That was really tragic, working in an IT department and then coming home and sit in front of another screen for another 3 or 4 hours. So yeah, I'm pretty glad that I do a very manual job, really, because I earn not a whole deal less, you know, on a monthly basis, you know, than I did then. You know, I'll take that action. I'll take a manual job where I can listen to music and audiobooks and occasionally, if the Wi-Fi allows it, watch Netflix if it's a slow evening. But I've also been doing research and stuff like that, so my research and reading time takes place mostly at work, which is great, because doing a really efficient job of being a dishwasher is probably 15% of my conscious activity when I'm there, and I've got another 85%. I can listen to audiobooks, I can pause them if I need to do something where I need to speak to people, which just doesn't happen that often. I don't have to deal with the general public or answer the telephone. Oh, I hated answering the telephone. Yeah, I still did it for about 20 years. Don't do that. So yeah. So I'm not really too fussed if the printer turns out to only have uses that involve very slippy. That was on a flat bit as well. That don't involve support materials. But, you know, there's still a 3D printer. And I've got a feeling that there is a way of making it happen. All right, I'm going to turn around now because I'm about 1.5 miles away from home. But yeah, so even if it's just fairly flat, fairly utilitarian 3D objects, I'm okay with that. So with the new settings, I'm getting a bit of stringing, which is what happens when the printer is too hot, and because the nozzle is so hot, as the printer moves away, it creates like a cheese string effect, whereas the printer pulls away and leaves sort of like very fine fibers of 3D printer filament, which isn't really an issue because you can just pull it off when the printing's done, but it, you know, it can get in the way of the print nozzle and cause, you know, lack of detail. And I printed a model with 3D supports last night, and yeah, it's one of those things. I probably need to get either some very fine scissors or some very fine side cutters, you know, like wire cutters, but like very sort of fine, very thin bladed wire cutters in order to cut off the 3D printed supports. But if you're printing a miniature that's only 30mm tall, then you're in that place where you run the risk of damaging the actual thing that you printed, as happened to me last night. So, you know, if that printer, all that printer's problem is it's hard to get it to do supports, then I'm totally okay with it because it's a 3D printer. So yeah. However, the 3D printer, you know, it can't have much of a bearing on whether it does support material well or not, because it's a very simple machine. All 3D printers are. So it's almost definitely user error, you know, as in me, you know, not compiling the print right, not telling it the right things to do for support material. We'll try it. You know, I'll keep plugging away at it. And I'm trying to sort of shift away from printing knickknacks and trying to print, that's why I'm printing those L brackets today, because all I need to do is just shore up slightly. So I figure a 5mm thick chunk of PLA with very heavy infill is probably the way to go. So yeah, we'll see, but seems to be printing okay. I think on the coarse print settings you come into a situation where it's laying down such thick filament that it's harder for it not to be pulled back up off the print head. And today I bought some, once the angle brackets have finished printing, I'll put a new layer of actual painter's tape. For the last few days I've been using ordinary masking tape, which doesn't seem to have the same adhesion as the tape that was originally on the bed of the printer. So I went and bought some of that, £3 for 50 meters. Can't argue with that. And the thing about it is it's exterior tape, so it means that unlike masking tape, it's got pretty weak adhesive on it. You know, exterior tape, or is it exterior masking tape? Is what it's called in the UK. But it was like £3 for 50 meters, which means that each time I replace the bed material, I just put another 3 layers. It's less than a meter, so it's about 5p per replacement. So it's not really much of an aggregate build-up of cost. And I've still got over half the spool left. I've printed off loads of objects, a lot of failed prints. I think you should definitely be looking at running through around, in your first couple of weeks, a whole spool of filament, like 1 kilo of it, just getting to terms with what your printer likes, what the bed temperature should be, all sorts of failed prints and stuff, but I'm hoping that the 3D printer videos that I'm going to do, I'll put them both here and on Rangers, because Rangers has a lot more subscribers, and yeah, I'll upload them twice so that you get them. But yeah, so there'll be an extra bit of video today. Just I'll do a time lapse and then I'll do a side-by-side picture to show some sort of progress, hopefully between one 3D print and another. Oh, but it has to be said, even the sort of more gnarly 3D prints, as long as, you know, the lack of detail didn't affect the structural integrity or prevent it from doing its job, I've just pressed those objects into service. Yeah, it's so the spool holders came out pretty horrendously, but I did print them very coarse. But if I get another printer and I'm going to do a similar spool holder, I'll print them out on fine to make them denser and make it adhere to the bed a lot more. But yeah, it didn't really bother me that some prints come out stringy. It's not really you know, if all it's doing is a utilitarian job, then I'm okay with that. But yeah, there are a few knickknacks that I quite like to print, you know, because certain things just don't exist in the real world, or if they do, they're horrendously expensive. Like, there are a lot of STL files for science fiction models and stuff like that. You know, I've always wanted, you know, a model of the Sulaco from Aliens. I've always wanted an APC and a dropship, because I thought those were the most interesting military designs. So I'm quite tempted to print those off in as simple a way as possible and see how they come out. I have to stop here because of the noise. And yeah, so get some side cutters that are fine enough to take off support material, because my only problem with the support material really is that it's coming out and it's very heavy duty. I mean, it's almost the same density as the print itself. So yeah, that could be a thing. But yeah, maybe just having some side cutters and a very sharp scalpel or utility knife just to take off the edges is kind of cool. But what I've taken to do is, just so you don't chop through bits that you want to keep or parts of the model, the great thing about a dual extruder is you can actually print the support material in a different colour. So I've got red and grey, and the support material is printing in red with the hyper nasty filament. It makes stuff come out real weird feeling compared to the grey stuff that I actually bought. So I've ordered some black, more grey and some black filament for just making bits and pieces out of. But yeah, I'm trying to come up with useful reasons. I mean, I would have had to have gone and bought those angled shelf brackets, and those would have cost me a couple of quid each. And this way they're costing me a little bit of time and electricity, but they're costing me about 20p a pop, and I can resize them to fit, which is much better. So yeah, it's if the shelf brackets come out okay and they're nice and solid, then I'll print a few more and just reinforce the whole of it, the whole of the desk, just to make sure that it stays in place. Because if all you got to do is essentially like a washing machine, switch it on and go and do something else. And I really like the way that, you know, it's a computer. It loves copy and paste. So instead of printing a shelf bracket at a time, I can print 2 at a time. I could probably print 4 at a time, to be honest. And that's what I might do. I might change the pattern, or just leave it as 2. You know, printing multiple models on the same print bed doesn't really save you a lot of time. It just means that if you are going to wander away for quite some time, it makes a deal more sense. So yeah. I don't know if that's the river or it's raining. So yeah, so rough, easy geometric shapes that don't require support materials are all away. dual colour printing, that's all working. I'll try and get you a setup for that. Well, the water's at least receded a bit. So yeah, I'm cool with quite a lot of it. Just those pesky support materials. I mean, it may be, I haven't seen an awful lot of people removing support materials, that I just could get something like dissolvable support material. I'll have a look, see how much that is. I mean, if it's reasonably cheap, then I'll probably go for it. Right, I need to get across here. This is where you don't want to fall in the water. Yep. Bounding like a deer. He crosses the little stream, but that is much higher than it was. So yeah, so maybe dissolvable support material is something that needs to be done with this printer. Yes, that could be the very thing, but that depends on what kind of nasty chemicals that you want to put in. I mean, another thing I want to try is acetone welding for assembly, because if I can acetone weld, that'd be quite cool. It means you can essentially use a nail polish remover to stick parts together. That'd be great for those multiple part prints. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff I want to print. A lot of photography gear, a lot of little add-ons that I might have to design myself. But I'd definitely like a rail system and a follow focus. That'd be nice. And maybe some kind of offset to allow more than one thing to be connected to the hot shoe, which would be good. But yeah, all those things that you'd spend £5 or £6 on, but you can now drastically reduce your impact on transportation and your bank balance, and you know, keeping money in your country and in your pocket. So that's been a fair old ramble. I'm going to leave it there. There should be a few more videos up today. It's only about 1 o'clock, so let's see what I can do with the rest of the day. So, as always, thanks for watching, and do take care.